was folding his clothes on the sidewalk, sorting his socks on the curb, humming a tune from the summer of love, not meaning at all to disturb. When the officer came up behind him, the property manager too, as they led him away, I was hearing him say these words I'm sharing with you. Well, hello, officer, how are you? You're all dressed up in blue. When I washed your floors and I fought your wars, I wore uniform too. I held the hotel door open wide for you. Now I'm holding the sign. I was the one who shined your shoes. Brother, can you spare a dime? Ought to be $1 by now, or maybe 5 or 10. They use the word inflation now, 'cause robbery is a sin. But hey, think about it, poverty ain't no crime. I need a place to be, but nothing's free. Brother, can you spare a dime? Well, if the future's glowing, we ought to all get more. The only thing that's growing is the gap between the fat cats and the poor. America, remember the time when I did your chores and I fought your wars. Brother, can you spare a dime? When I did your chores and I fought your wars. Brother, can you spare a dime?
Welcome to this edition of Voices from the Village. As you know, we're live every other Sunday night, and we're really pleased to have with us this evening Russell Brutsche. Russell, welcome. Russell, not only a noted musician and artist around town, but also, in my experience, a real activist in terms of progressive issues. You were with us certainly predating even my time in town, which is really not that long, but during the desal era and stuff like that. I did want to mention one thing. Of all the wonderful things you do as an activist, a musician, and artist, I understand now that you've put in an application to actually play or entertain in the juvenile hall.
Actually teach, Steve.
Teach, okay.
Yeah, you know, once in a while I go to the local high schools and do my little dance. And, I used to teach high school art, actually.
I didn't know that.
I got the qualifications way back there in history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go up to the juvenile hall and we'll make drawings.
Wonderful. I just wanted to really mention that I was, my friend Mel Nunes, yeah, you and I, he mentioned that to me last night. He said, you have a Russ on tomorrow night. Make sure you mention the juvenile hall. So Mel, that's for you, and just let people know. So Russ, tell people about your art and your music. We're talking about the desal times, and you've done so many great art pieces that really dramatically illustrate kind of that particular issue, and the desal certainly was one.
Well, yeah, desal is a landmark, I guess. Before that, I was making pretty paintings and actually speaking to social issues, but more on a national or international level, just, you know, Statue of Liberty or whatever.
Right.
And I decided to bring it home. The desal thing interested me because it was a way that I could speak to something right here and right now. Right. And that painting is right over there. I don't know if the camera can hit it, but at the lower, it's that smaller painting down there.
Right there, there you go.
You can see the desal plant sinking in the sand out at Natural Bridges. And I like to think that it played a small role in questioning that whole venture. They eventually ended up appointing a citizens committee to take a deep dive on that. And they said, you know, we got water, we got 43 desals plants worth of water coming down every year, so let's save some of the water.
Well, I can recall having been involved in that Right to Vote on Desal movement, to see that particular painting, that dramatic image, you know, is always kind of burned into my mind about that. But let's talk about some of your music. Around, we will see some of your artwork. Fortunately for us, our director, Brian Schulman, has done such a wonderful job directing and producing for us here, has preloaded some images of some of your art, so we can see that maybe as we go along. Yeah. But tell us where you're going to be in the next upcoming, because I know that you're going to be with the wonderful Healer Trio and Open Studios. Yeah,
just a quick info thing. I was requested to do the
Wharf to Wharf.
The Wharf to Wharf.
Wonderful.
So there you got it. You can see the runner starting there, beginning of the race. And that kind of got me re-geared to do, I thought, well, with that, let's do Open Studio. So I will be an Open Studio artist this year.
There you go.
If you can spell that name, you can make it, you know. I'm number 126. That happens in October, the first 3 weekends in October.
Okay.
And I will be the first and third. We kind of rotate weekends. So
yeah. And anybody who's been on the Open Studios tour around town, it's really wonderful. You know, you get an opportunity. There are so many terrific artists in town, and so many people welcome you into their homes or their businesses, or place where they have the art is displayed. And don't miss it. Particularly, you look for the Russell Brutsche. And
if you want to be green about it, you can do it on bike. Yeah. There's a lot of studios close to
And I was mentioning, Russ, before we went on the air, that I had worked with Matilda Rand, and she did a show with you playing with the Healer Trio. It's Gail Swain, Claire Paul, and I can't remember the other woman.
Karen Katz.
Wonderful. If you ever get a chance to hear the Healer Trio, and we're going to tell you where you can, they are fantastic.
Little graphic you can check out, because I will be playing with the Healer Trio September 28th, which is a Saturday at the Resource Center. So come on down. They're going to do some of their tunes, and I'll do some of mine. So it should be a good, good afternoon.
Then.
A boomer tune afternoon.
And don't believe the graphic, because it says September the 21st, but it's actually September the 28th. That's also the beauty of live television, where you get to change the script whenever we want to. So, Russ, it's really terrific having you here. It's something that I've wanted to do. You and I have known one another for a while. We see one another regularly now, because you help with the Monday meal at the Calvary Episcopal Church, in which we work. So it's great having you down there. Just another kind of community contribution that you make, you know, every day. But I think what was drawn to me most about your artistry was not only the paintings and the things you do there, but also your music. And so maybe you could grace us with a little something that we haven't heard already.
I'll do a tune for you.
All right, please.
And I'll say a couple things about art and music.
Please.
I'm an artist, not a debater. And somewhere, I don't know if it's in the 4th grade or whatever, I found that if I said things, people could question them. And a lot of times they had better resources than I did. Whereas if I sung them, or if I painted them, it's kind of a disarmer in a way. You know, it gets through. So anyway, here's a song that's going to talk a little about that painting right there. If we can have the camera on that big one.
The great big one? Right here? The one that's over here next to me?
You can see Santa Cruz.
I think that's it.
Santa Cruz underwater.
Nope, it's not on quite yet.
No, well.
There we go!
There we
Beautiful.
So
again, such striking images. They're just really wonderful. I mean,
that's called View from Mission Hill. 2200 AD. So maybe it's a little alarmist.
Where we'll have plenty of water for people who are worried about the water in Santa Cruz. We'll have it 30 feet deep downtown
and actually,
when the glaciers melt.
Not that pessimistic of a piece. You've got a sustainable transportation there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sing a song about a little character that lives in the lower right of that painting.
All right. Please.
And it has a little buzz to it, a little. If you can hear that, it's a chewing sound. Well, I've been here since the devil. My tale is seldom told. I was in the boat that Noah built, way down in the hold. Down with all the vegetables, all the food below. Chewing from the bottom up. Chewing from below. Chewing in the floorboards. Chewing in the dark. The name is Mr. Gopher, and I almost sunk the ark. Way out in California, where the mountains meet the sea, if you got a garden, then you probably heard of me. Saving all your compost, saving for a year. You plant your peas and carrots and you watch them disappear. Begging on your bended knee for everything I steal. The name is Mr. Gopher, I don't gotta cut no deal. Gophers been around long before humans. Since the Miocene era, a good 20 million years. There's over 30 species of gopher here in North America. And they'll go through chicken wire, they'll go through gopher wire, they'll go through wood, plastic, gravel, sand, clay, consuming 75% of their body weight a day. Well, if the ocean rises, I'll be safe and sound. Global warming crisis, I'll be underground. Sneak attack from ISIS, it won't be me gets hurt. Whatever the surprise is, I'll be deep in dirt. And if the world above me gets reduced to sticks and stones, I will still be Mr. Gopher, I will tunnel through your bones.
Wonderful. That's terrific. Yeah.
So, yeah, trying to use a little humor.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I know we're living in sobering times.
Yes,
extremely sobering.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they call it a climate change debate, if you want to listen to the one paid-off scientist,
Right.
okay, but
Yeah.
if you want to listen to the other 999 that say things ain't looking good, it's sobering.
And we had a recent show. We had your friend and mine, Rick Nolthenius, a local climatologist.
Yeah,
and,
he's the guy to listen to.
Yeah, he's the guy to listen to. You know, teaches at Cabrillo. So, tell everybody kind of what the process was to get the Wharf to Wharf folks to have you do such a signature. The Wharf to Wharf has become really, again, such a signature event in Santa Cruz, and all of a sudden here's Russell Brutsche, local artist, in these 15,000 people or something, and you're doing the signature piece for that.
Right. Well, they wanted a view. They had a rough idea that they wanted kind of a view from above, and so they called Ann Osterman over at Open Studios. She's been managing that for the last number of years. She said, "Brusche's your guy."
Really?
Because she'd seen my art before and seen the kind of the angular perspectives that I do. So they contacted me, and basically they had this idea. They said, "We looked at your website. It looks like you're the guy," and so we clicked, and a couple sketches. They liked that, and I went ahead and did the piece.
Yeah.
One of the Bennies was getting to ride in the pacing car, which goes
is that
in
right?
front of these guys, so you see all these long.
They didn't make a run up
beautiful-
front holding up your poster where they're pointing to the hat and saying, "No, that's me."
Not that.
Yeah. So tell me about what it's going to be like teaching young people, troubled young people, challenged young people in juvenile hall. What's your approach on that?
A very gut level approach. First of all, there's no such thing as a mistake.
Yeah.
I want to show some portraits to the kids. I'll show something very exacting where you see every hair on the head, and then I'll show them maybe the Scream, which is a painting that hangs in the Louvre, and it's just a wild painting that has gotten a lot more attention than all the realistic paintings that have ever been done.
Yeah.
So for them to express themselves in an atmosphere where you can't make a mistake. And one of the first things I do is sometimes I'll have them take the piece of paper they're working on and just make a line all the way around the outside of that piece of paper. And then they realize they own that. That's theirs.
Right.
Because, you know, you get folks who are not real comfortable with drawing, and they make a little drawing about yay big.
That would be me. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we get into this thing. You know. Another thing to do is you look at the person, but you can't look down.
Oh, really?
So your eye, another eye, the nose, the mouth, and it just loosens up.
Yeah.
And,
well, I think it's going to be a wonderful experience for those kids, and thanks for doing that. And again, as we're talking, do go to Open Studios. It's in October.
Yeah.
And take a look at Russ's artwork up close. It's the images, as I said, are so dramatic and so lush and complex. I mean, there is, I guess, some simplicity to art, but when you look at the things that Russ does, they're so emotive, they're so emotional, and it's one of the things that has drawn me always to your art, really.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, there's a couple pieces on the desk here. Expanding the freeway, we're looking at the SoCal Avenue turnoff, 41st Avenue a little further along, and lo and behold, these characters from long ago are showing. I mean, it could have been called the Ghost of Carbon Returning or something. But
that's wonderful.
I understand the frustrations of being in a traffic jam, and everybody can't ride a bike. But the old saying, if you build it, they will come, it seems like so many of our answers are responding to growth by building more.
Right.
And at some point, we reach our limits of what we can...
And I know that really, if I can put that down there without it falling over, there we go. One of the things that you've been very much involved with, of course, over time is sustainable transportation, that kind of thing. Very much an emphasis on climate, sustainable transportation, that kind of thing. Really outspoken about that.
Yeah, I work with a committee for sustainable transportation, and we look at these things, and we don't have all the answers. I should speak for myself. I sure don't have all the answers. In fact, I try to make art that asks questions rather than I've got all the latest stats or something, because I don't. And the last disclaimer, I could be wrong. I hate to say that, but, you know, age humbles, you know.
Yeah. I wish you'd have told me that before we booked you for this show.
No. Sorry to disappoint.
No, absolutely. And as someone who has, over time, appreciated your art and really been, as I say, struck by the images, you know, and the truth to power kind of thing. You know, everybody talks about, truth to power, and, you know, that's what you want to do if you want to make change. When you look at Russ's artwork, I think you'll have an opportunity when you go to Open Studios or and other opportunities to do that. Just take a look and reflect about how it really is just an expression of our times, I think.
All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I do want to mention, before we have another couple of minutes or so, and maybe you can do just a short song, but for sure, the Healer Trio, at the RCNV on the 28th. And again, I just can't say enough about the Healer Trio itself, and Russ with them is just phenomenal. If you've never heard them, we were fortunate enough to have them here, as I say, on a show, Matilda's Connection show. And it was just really breathtaking to listen to the great harmonies and really the healing power of music.
Yeah.
So do a little something else for us while we have a couple more minutes.
They're building a bubble. They're floating alone. They're putting a freeway through my hometown. They want to go faster, got somewhere they need to be. Maybe I'm just foolish, maybe I'm just slow. A lot of big things coming, things I don't know. Who's living in a bubble? Well, is it them or is it me? There've been lots of business deals, and I don't mean to drag my heels, but that's just the way it feels most of the time. But after all is said and done, after all is lost or won, will it be their bubble breaking or will it be mine? They drive a new Hummer, I ride an old bike. They're taking a wine tour, I'm taking a hike. They're buying the good life, for me the best in life is free. But it's not that simple, it's not black and white. Not red or blue states, not wrong or right. Who's living in a bubble? Well, is it them or is it me? Guess we're just on different teams. We got different kinds of dreams. That's just the way it seems most of the time. But at the ending of the day, when the fates have had their say, will it be their bubble breaking or will it be mine? Ain't got no smartphone, I'm not so smart. Heard it was like cocaine, best not to start. Ain't got no password, no username, no friends on Facebook, I don't play the game. Ain't got no PayPal, no Twitter and tweet. I thought that cookies were things you eat.
Russ Brutsche, thank you so much. Really a Santa Cruz treasure. And again, please take in some of his art. Open Studios in October, the Healer Trio. Maybe we'll have you back again if Matilda doesn't mind. Okay. And we'll bring back you with the Healer Trio because with Gail and Claire and Karen, again, wonderful tunes and the healing power of music, I think.
Yeah.
I think you would agree.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it for all of us. This has just been the first part of our live Voice from the Village programming for Sunday. We're going to have a second show with Jill Cody is here with us and Hope for Peace, so please look forward to that. We are very fortunate to have both Hope for Peace and Jill here to help us out. It's kind of a new experiment, I think, with Brian T. Schulman doing the producing and Gail Williamson and some folks here with kind of a different approach to Voices. Still live every first Sunday of the month, but a little different approach with how we're getting issues and folks and really a local flavor, and I hope you're enjoying it really as much as I am, because I am really having a great time doing this. Russ Brutsche, thanks again for being here. Everybody out there and in the studio and in the engineering room, thank you so much for all of your help. Again, Voices from the Village, co-produced by Brian T. Schulman and BTS Presents. I'm Steve Pleich, and by golly, I will see you next month with another show. So take care. See you next time.
ghost town, the air's thin and dry. Stars come out at sundown to fill the empty sky. People trying to get here, searching for a clue. But freedom is a ghost town and there's nothing here to do. Workers built a freeway wearing hard hats and boots. Planners drew the blueprints wearing neckties and suits. But the tourists missed the turnoff where the desert meets the sky. Freedom is a ghost town and the Greyhound passes by. Say, hey, 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 the Greyhound passes by. They're all about connection, cell phones in hand. They built a string of towers across the endless sand. They got Wi-Fi, they got cable, and there's backup if they fail. But freedom is a ghost town and there's no incoming mail. They work and save for freedom like it's something you could buy. Factories in the distance light up the evening sky. But here in downtown freedom, there's an echo in the square. Streets aligned with wildflowers blooming everywhere. Say, blooming everywhere. If you came here to be busy, you would be a restless guest. It's heaven for the poet, but it's hell for all the rest. For the businessman, a bummer. For the dreamer, it's divine. I see a lizard sleeping on that city limit sign. Freedom is a ghost town, the air's thin and dry. Freedom is a ghost town, the Greyhound passes by. Trying hard to get here, they're looking for a clue. But freedom is a ghost town and there's nothing here to do. Say, hey, nothing here to do. Thank you. Thank you.